Have you heard? Metro by T-Mobile now includes Amazon Prime. Yes, enjoy the best of shopping and entertainment, movies, TV shows, music, free shipping, and much more. All included for just $40 per line for 3 lines. All on the T-Mobile network. Discover the smarter way. Metro by T-Mobile. That's genius. One offer per account. Offer subject to change. $12.99 per month value. Offer valid for new Amazon Prime members. Metro customers may notice reduced speeds versus some T-Mobile customers. Video at 480p. Capable device required. See store for details and terms and conditions.
Aloha, everyone, and welcome to Aquarium Radio at aquariumradio.com. And this is an episode of We the Anunnaki. And I am your host, Janet Carol Lesson, with my co-host, Karen Christine Patrick. Dr. Sasha Lesson may be joining us if he's making time for part of this show towards the end. And we have an incredible guest, very special guest, Robert Evans Jr. He's a dear friend. We've hung out together, we've seen each other, and he's a Planet X Nibiru researcher, the Anunnaki researcher. He's got a lot of information, and he is here to give us an update on all the action that's going on in the skies and around the Earth. Bob receives reports and photos from around the globe and posts them on his social networks to keep us informed of the incoming potential Earth changes and when and how and where and why they may happen. Together, our team, our Anunnaki research team, we put our heads together to examine the historical, mythological, and alegorical evidence on all these stories, and we correlate these, and then we come together with an overview and a bunch of possibilities regarding what did happen and what may yet happen. And I was just writing, if only we had a time machine, we could travel through time, back through time to explain what happened and forward and see what may come, but we don't. So we, like all of us here, are trapped on spaceship Earth. And on some level, we've come on board the ship for this wild ride that's coming. And I invite you all to hold on to your hats. So first I'm going to bring on my co-host, Karen Patrick, and aloha. How are you today, Karen? And what is new? What's new in the world of your research?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm beginning to put together a PowerPoint presentation on something Brett and I, my partner Brett Shepard and I did a year or two ago called All Hail Apollo, and it has to do with evidence in different areas of Europe pertaining to the Hyperborean age, which was connected to the Atlantean age, which was connected to the Anunnaki, and how there's language cues, and there's documentation from over 100 years ago alluding to really interesting tidbits and string of the Anunnaki story, not just what Zachariah wrote, but other authors as well. So I'm kind of working on a PowerPoint presentation for that.
Excellent. And Bob Evans, welcome back to the show. And Dr. Wilson just walked in the door. Sweetheart, can you go get the 2 headsets and the splitter from the other room, and we'll sit in here. Bob, welcome to the show. And,
it's an honor to be back on your show.
It's really exciting to have you here. It's been a while since we talked, and part of it was just because life was so busy. And the other part is well, it's good in a way we haven't heard from you, because now you're going to have a lot of updates for us. So
yes, I do.
What is going on right now in the cosmos? And tell us about your latest research.
Planet Nibiru orbits through our system between Jupiter and Mars. It comes in on a high angle. Robert S. Harrington figured out between 35 and 40 degrees above our ecliptic, which all of our planets orbit on. It goes through underneath our sun, back out. It orbits through clockwise. Every planet in our system orbits counterclockwise with the exception of Pluto. Pluto orbits clockwise also. The Earth is orbiting right towards Nibiru as it's heading out now. That's why the people in charge built all the deep underground military bunkers around the planet. That's why they built all of the emergency seed vaults. That's why they built FEMA camps for, and blah, 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 all the way down the list. We have been seeing since April of 2015 four, I repeat, four of Nibiru's, either their planets, because Nibiru is about the size of Jupiter, if not larger, or their moons. The orbits are quite huge. We've seen a bluish-looking moon or planet with stripes on it. We've seen a silverish-looking thing that was caught in the skies above Hawaii a while back.
I'm looking on the photos. I'm looking on the photos, and there is like it looks like it might be Hawaii. It looks like a palm tree there. I'm going to click on it and enlarge it. And this is on the Aquarian Radio website for those who want to take a look.
Each one of those photographs have a date on them.
Now look at this thing. It says February 18th of 2016. So that was just a little while ago.
Okay, let me get.
That's the one you were looking at. There's one that almost looks like the moon, but it doesn't really look like our moon. It's got some pockets in it, like.
Okay, hold on. I'm getting to it. I'm going to it.
Go ahead.
Going to it right now.
Can you see this, Sasha? Sasha has joined us. Yay!
How's it going, Doc? Okay.
Great.
Okay, you're talking about February what?
18th.
February 18th. Okay. Yes, 2016. Okay. February 8th.
No, that kind of looks like palm trees.
No, there's several satellites
two
around the larger body. I see exactly what you're saying.
Okay. So February 8th, you said?
18th.
18th, sorry. Okay, 18th.
It says on the picture it says 02/18/2016, but on the title it's 02/25/2016B.
Yeah, it looks like they're real.
And Karen, if you can, I'm sorry you're not by computer. I should have.
Okay, so it's 02/25. Okay.
2016, and this is on for those listeners who are maybe joining us later in the archives. It's on aquariumradio.com. It's
okay. Here we go. Yes.
April. Okay, it's April 5th is when I put this page up.
Oh.
Robert Evans Jr. This is the what you're going to look for is Robert Evans Jr. We the Anunnaki with Janet.
Okay,
Karen,
I've got the photograph. That photograph is showing. That photograph is showing one of the four planets or moons. It was caught in the sky, and you can see it's heavily cratered, but it's not our moon. That is not our moon.
A
lot of people.
In Hawaii, you're saying.
The person would not tell. The person would not tell me where it was caught, because a lot of these photographs are taken off web cameras from resorts and stuff. And a lot of the web cameras have been shut off to a different way, so they can't see anything anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So now this one thing, I have this at least 5 or 6 times since 2015. It's the same thing every time.
Large moon. Okay, you've seen that in other pictures. And so here's one that looks like our sun, and it's dated 3/17/2016. 3/17. Yeah, 0317.
That thing, you still there or there? That thing was caught using a telescope. That's the reddish one. There's only one red one amongst the four things. Through history,
what do you think that is?
That is wormwood. That is wormwood from the Holy Bible. It's the destroyer from the ancient Egyptian text by Ipuwer. Ipuwer described it very clearly as a huge reddish mass in the skies
and
over Egypt during the Exodus.
The sun. It looks like it's right up, like
right
to the side of the sun.
Exactly. The Colburn said that this thing would hide near our sun for quite a time, then suddenly it would start showing up away from it. And that's what it's been doing now. People are seeing it more over in Europe than we are over here. Although my friend Dawn Hull up in Washington State, she has a camera that can film in the infrared band.
Right.
And she has caught many, many pictures of huge red things in her skies.
Now,
red
what about
meaning
this one that's blue? It's like the whole thing is kind of blue, so I don't know if the planet's blue.
But what's the significance of red you were starting to say, Bob?
Right.
The red with an infrared camera indicates heat. Okay, because infrared will see everything but just that heat thing. It's a heat signature. So when the skies were all cloudy and everything, she points her camera up into the sky, and she's seeing these big heat, massive heat signatures in the skies over the Earth. Our moon does not give off a heat signature.
Wow.
Something does.
So what's the size of these red things?
I honestly do not know. During the Exodus, the destroyer, a huge reddish mass, took up to 1/5 of the skies from the horizon upwards during the Exodus.
Wow.
Now, I know I sent you one of the photographs from January. This thing was caught in the skies over Florence, Italy. One of my friends was looking on the horizon, and she didn't like what she saw. 0102.
Okay.
0102 2016A.
Okay.
Firenze.
Okay, you see that kind of a big reddish thing in the sky? She didn't know what it was.
That's Mexico.
Oh, that's one's Mexico that I have. Okay, I got the wrong one.
It's 0102 216A. That's an enhanced version of the photograph. 0102 216. I didn't send you this one. Shows it just you can barely see it. Now she caught the same thing in her skies again on January 8th, 216B.
Okay.
Can you see that one?
I took them out of order. I have to go look. Yeah.
The listener may be having trouble hearing these.
Huh? Yeah, but the listeners don't see this. So, listeners, if you want to go over to our website, which is aquariumradio.com, and click on the show with Bob Evans. Anyway, so maybe we should go. We're going to invite them to come look at these pictures.
Sure.
See for yourself, because it's really hard. I think I see the one you're talking about. So, 108 2016A. It's really big. What is that? It's so bright. It's very large. See this, honey? Look at it close. It's very large.
She was looking.
It's larger than our sun.
Exactly. She saw this huge red thing, but the skies were kind of cloudy. And she had bad reflections on the earlier photograph. Her friends would say, "Oh, it's not real. It's not real." So she had the image enhanced twice, and it came out with the January 8th, 216A. Okay, and then she had the image reversed. Thing that was white became black. And that's the one that was done on January 12th, 216. And you can see this massive thing that's larger than our sun, because our sun was off to the left of the thing. That is a huge planet or moon that orbits around the planet Nibiru.
So the theory I've heard is that they've been masking this by, that's one of the main reasons.
The chemtrails, exactly. The chemtrails are doing several things. One of them is hiding these things in our skies. Only when it's really super clear can it be seen. It's been seen over Germany, over Scotland, over Ireland, over Italy. I sent you a video that just came in a little bit ago where it was seen over Hong Kong. This huge red mass in the skies.
I'll have to go.
So more and more people are seeing this thing. See, the Earth is orbiting right towards it. Them. Okay, that's why they're growing larger and larger and larger in our skies. My contact says that these things will be very clear in our skies, very clear, by June of this year.
Okay. Well, that'll be good.
Now, who and what is my contact?
Yeah.
My contact is a Palladian 7B. Her name is Sonia. How do I know this?
Human form or Palladian form or interdimensional or physical? How do you know this? Yeah.
She wouldn't answer this. I've been on the Eric Brown show with the Cosmic Cafe.
Yeah.
And we did 2 sessions where I was hypnotized.
Oh.
Hypnosis is something very interesting. I had no recollection of time. And during the first session, her name is Lori McDonald.
Yeah,
she deals primarily with people who have been abducted. And Lori were asking questions, and I actually saw this woman. She keeps her distance from me during. It's like I'm seeing her from at least 20 feet. She's got a human-like body, and she's constantly telling me to do my job, find all these photographs, and she's actually been helping me, I guess, by making books and photographs and stuff easier to get.
Wow.
These things, the powers that be, the world's leaders, have known this since 1954. President Eisenhower met with 3 alien races in what's now called Edwards Air Force Base. One was the Greys, the other one was a reptilian-looking race, the other one was a interdimensional race called the Etherians. You there?
Yeah.
Our breath was baited.
Yeah. Well, on my side it said unmuted. So Eisenhower went to Holloman Air Force Base in 1955. His Air Force One landed and stopped at the end of the runway, shut down the entire field, including all of the early Doppler radar systems. Eisenhower asked for that specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Then 2 flying saucers showed up. One landed right in front of Air Force One, and he met with what was then called the Nordic. Tall, humanoid-type people, 6-7 foot tall, blonde hair, blue eyes. The Vatican leaked all this information in early 2000 to an Italian reporter.
Mm-hmm.
So the Vatican has been in on this for quite some time. Probably all of the other major religions, too. They know what's going to happen, and they're not going to sit on the sidelines. They're going to be out there looking for people that still remember them and start everything over again. Our U.S. government built all of the FEMA camps. They placed millions of these 3 to 5 person caskets in front of each one and buried them. They put into effect a huge, massive ammo buy-up for each government agency from the post office all the way down. Massive amounts of ammunition and guns. They built or converted numerous max car train cars. Normally, these train cars are 3 levels. You see them on the railroad tracks hauling automobiles.
Right.
They took out the middle level, making it 2 levels, and they put these big plates over each area where you could look in, and they have minute little holes for let air in. They have shackles inside of these train cars. The FEMA camps...
Okay, so let's pause right there for a moment. Cause
I'm so cheered.
It's getting too dark for me.
I'm sorry. I really am,
okay,
but, you know, this is exactly what they've been planning. There's no way around it.
We're not still in that timeline. Okay, I want to give my other co-host a chance to talk for one moment here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Karen,
go ahead.
Right. That's okay. Sasha,
it was the thing that I gave you. Could you bring it out?
Let's give Karen a chance to talk. So, no, here, it's right here, honey. I'll pull it up. So, Karen, let's give you a chance to comment, talk, ask questions. Because Karen's got some information that kind of contrary to. Anyway, it's different. So go ahead, and Karen, you talk while we pull up this. I did find the thing about the meeting that AR board.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yes.
But Karen, go ahead. Your turn. We're passing the ball around. So Karen,
well, since we're bringing up AR board, and I think that's good for me to talk about as well. As I said, as we were chatting before the show started, that A.R. Borden was involved in a group of renegade physicists who didn't really give their real names. They were basically studying all these issues, and his term, or I don't know if it was his term, but they called it the incoming. You know, it's a kind of a euphemism. The Nibiru was the incoming, and A.R. didn't believe exactly that just the insiders should be knowing about this, so he recruited people who were intuitive and were sensing something was happening and had an easy connection in a group that we all met each other on a forum that was named after the original renegade physicist forum called the Life Physics Group. And we all got to know each other and kept in touch. So we were kind of outsiders, or I call it the latter-day A.R. Borden Saints. You know, we were kind of latter-day, and he was giving us information about all this. And people can contact us for more information. We've got a group called the Writings of A.R. Borden, if anybody's interested, on Facebook. And also Michael Lee Hill has been on with us a few times. He was told by A.R. Borden to start a new group to continue to disseminate this information. And he named it Michael Lee Hill. A.R. Borden told Michael to name it after the group, the Linkage Institute, which was a study group of some kind that existed. And so that's also, you can find that on Facebook, the Linkage Institute. And these ideas are getting out. He wrote many papers. The aforementioned anonymous scientists under pseudonyms wrote papers with him, talking about, the effects of this, or the doomsday scenario, which I'm with Janet. I don't want to think that has to be that way. I don't know if we're preparing for worst case scenario or what, but they generally speaking, like that movie Armageddon, or what was it? 2012, right? A couple of years ago,
yes.
and at the beginning of the movie, they say, "What would the government tell their people if something like this was going to happen?" And it said they wouldn't, So basically, right. So it's like, which was not one of my favorite movies. Someday I'll tell you why. But so here was the thing was the elites got saved and left us, out of the deal. But anyway, just saying. But
right.
That's the thing is that there's been this. Going back in history, flipping the other way, not looking to the future but to the past, as we know from Zechariah Sitchin and everything that Sasha Lesson's been putting out there, is that there's been a cyclical nature to our history, where we've had cataclysms and a rebirth of civilization that builds up probably to about where we are now, pre-space flight or perhaps having early space flight, and then something happens and knocks us back to the Stone Age, more or less. And so this cyclical view of history is, kind of what they're studying also, these study groups, because it's showing this pattern. And I just looked into Isaac Asimov, and of course, they've been trying to reveal information through science fiction writers for years. And Isaac Asimov wrote a short story called Nightfall. And it was this planet where they were studying how come every 2,000 years the planet, all the houses burn down, and it seems like everyone goes crazy and their civilization has to start over again. And for them, it was that they always had suns, and their suns would suddenly not be in the sky, and for the first time ever, they would see stars, and they'd go crazy because it was dark and burn their houses down to get light. And it's an interesting story, but I think he was alluding to this cyclical view of history. So this is
exactly
where we're at. Yeah, well, are we there yet? Is it our turn?
Okay. Like I said, Nibiru orbits clockwise through our solar system. The Earth orbits counterclockwise. Now, just like Marshall Masters said in one of his videos, the Earth is not in the same location every 3,600 years. So, on some accounts, the Earth feels next to nothing. If it's closer in its orbit, it feels something. If it's right there where it shouldn't be, it gets the bleep kicked out of it. Hollywood has been warning the public for quite some time now. With the movie Independence Day, ID4, the president was outed of the loop, knowing about the aliens and the base there at Area 51. Deep Impact, a black U.S. president, outed the fact that the deep underground military bases were built in every country around the planet and to their own standards, and they could only hold 2,000 people. Everyone else was on their own. The movie Battle L.A. had numerous asteroids coming through our atmosphere, and these asteroids had these aliens and their stuff in the asteroids. Well, if anyone remembers the comet Elenin, the comet Elenin was not a comet. A friend of mine at NASA, we were following it through the amateur astronomers, and it didn't look right. Then there was a nice article out of Russia called Elenin was in direct contact with a Jupiter-sized planet that's following behind it. So my friend at NASA really enlarged the images up, and they got worse and worse. Then there was a nice article out of China saying that Comet Elenin had spaceships piggyback to it. That blew it for my NASA friend. He enlarged it up so big. The image, I have the images. I can send them to Janet to see this.
Yeah.
Here's this tiny little comet at the very front and this massive force field behind it. And all these globulars were inside this massive force field. The NASA guy went nuts. He said he never even thought of a magnetic field like that. Then I didn't really hear much after that. Then there was the movie 2012. The biggest thing in there was when the characters were on a plane heading towards China. And when the Earth's crust shifted, they became 1,000-something miles closer to China than they should have been. And they talked about this one scientist, and I can't remember his name right now, where he had a theory of Earth crustal displacement. But he wasn't the first person to talk about Earth crustal displacement or pole shift. Edgar Cayce, the sleeping prophet, before he died in 1945, he used the exact term. And he had several maps made up showing the United States after this coming pole shift. The entire West Coast was gone except for major islands. The West Coast new shoreline was near Denver, Colorado. The Great Lakes had ripped right down through the United States to the Gulf of Mexico. The East Coast was mostly gone. About 25 years ago, every high-ranking military official was giving a briefing before they retired. They were told they would have 3 days' notice, and they had to have everything ready. Then they would be bugged out, them and their families. They were given a map. The map, they were told, do not ever leak this. The map matches Edgar Cayce's map, almost to a T.
Do you have any pictures of Edgar Cayce's map? I've never seen Edgar Cayce's. I know there was a bunch of maps years ago that I saw. If you could send that to me, that'd be great.
Yes. See,
go on.
And years ago, 2012. I'm sorry if I mention a different radio show here. If you can bleep it if you want.
Oh, fine with that radio show.
There was a person called Just Call Me Kit. Just Call Me Kit. She still has a YouTube name. She was on the Orion radio show. I copied it. She was a Tea Party Republican following all of the spending because she knew exactly where on the web to see it. And the U.S. government was pulling everything of substantial value away from all 3 U.S. coastlines. They were building, this is 2012, they were building 4 enormous dry food, frozen food storage facilities right in the middle of the United States. She gave the state numbers, state names. The states were divided into A, B, C, and D. Each A had so many states, what states they were, B, C, and D. These things were starting at $74 billion, and they had to build 4 of them. This one lady, I checked on her YouTube account, she did one more show with someone else, and she hasn't been heard from since. The remote viewers, Dr. Courtney Brown specifically, he had a remote viewing challenge from 2008 until June 1st of 2013. All of his remote viewers, I think it was like 14 of them, they all came up with massive asteroid strikes in all of the oceans around the planet, causing enormous tidal waves. The Hawaiian Islands were wiped clean. Sydney, Australia was hit, and everyone was running from the shorelines, getting away. They had no food, no emergency transport, nothing. One asteroid hit in the Indian Ocean, causing a massive tsunami to go all the way up to the Mount Kilimanjaro. The East Coast was heavily damaged. They could smell rotting plants. They could see people using debris to make some type of housing to sleep under. Luckily, that didn't happen. Okay? NASA leaked.
And we know why.
Yes. NASA leaked.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. You finish your thought, and then we're going to give you another piece of information. So NASA leaked what?
NASA's been leaking a number of information since the early 50s all the way up until the last one, which was 2009. 2009 showed 6 planets of the Nemesis star system, which orbits around our solar system. Planet 6 is the planet Nibiru. And they projected in 2009 that on December 21st, 2012, interesting day, I wonder who else was using that same date, that Planet 6 would be 20 astronomical units away from orbiting through our solar system. So they knew we wouldn't see anything on December 21st, 2012. I sent all this stuff to an astronomer friend who was doubting what I was saying, what I was showing. He said, "Where'd you get this?" He worked out the orbital speed of Nibiru from all the information that was there. He said we wouldn't see it until December of 2014. And lo and behold, in the skies over South Carolina, the second red sun, which everyone was saying was a defect from digital cameras, it suddenly had the wings on both sides. People over in Europe started seeing all these things in their night skies, one after another, until on April 10th, 2015, in the skies over Antarctica, the Neumayer Station number 3, which had been following something for quite some time, saw it very clearly. It was a huge moon or planet with stripes on it. And everyone said, "Bob, that's just blah, 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 blah." Then a friend of mine back in Illinois caught it in her skies in color on April 29th, 2015. And it's been going fast ever since. I'm sorry, I talk too much.
Nope, that's okay. We're just going round robin here. Sasha, you wanted to share something?
Oh, yeah. There was a thing by Gordon that I'd like to read about. What he basically says is that the extraterrestrials that are interested in this planet that saved us, that they shifted us into a parallel timeline, so we bypassed Nibiru's visit to our inner solar system. Gordon says they moved our planet to a time after Nibiru passed through the system. he said how Earth was shifted into a parallel timeline after it went by. That the ETs had successfully tested the technology when we wrote about this in the beginning and put it in place, and it would momentarily, so quote, momentarily cloak our medium from the rest of our solar system space-time ratio. The Earth solar system would go through a tunnel and come out the other end, and what Gordon said, hopefully on the same timeline as it entered the wake. And he wrote, the operative word here is hopefully. Well, I guess we made it.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add to that this is from the executive, the 13th annual gathering of the Link Association, which took place between Wednesday, January 5th, and Friday, the 14th of January in 2011 at an undisclosed location in the southern hemisphere of the American continent. And present were all city members of the Link gathering and 17 observers from 6 observer member biotimes, 3 members from the Life Physics Group of California, A.R. Borden, managing scientist Robert B. Solingen, director of research, and James T. Traveler, exopolitical constituency, human needs. Anyway, they the members came from various planets, and they name all the planets like Beta Hydrus, Mu Arae, Upsilon Andromedae, Fomalhaut, Jalies, etc. It's like meeting minute notes, and there were some Anunnaki from I, which is Nibiru. And so there were other members from like biotypes. Those present were humanoids, 16 different planet origins, sauroid, 8 different planet origins, hybrid humanoid, sauroid, 2 different planet origins, and hybrid human crystalloids, 2 different planet origins. And so they were trying to figure out what to do. This was in 2011 when we were coming up on, the very famous 12/21/12, what to do, because we were on a collision course. And as lesson read, is that they had an experiment. They were going to shift us out of time phase, out of this collision course, and that they were successful. It was experimental. But they had kind of played it out and thought it was going to work, and the alternative was not acceptable, so they went ahead and did it, and we got shifted out of the course. And of course, Nibiru's passing isn't always catastrophic, but this is encouraging, and I wanted to have Karen address this. And the paper I'm talking about. It's the 13th annual gathering of the Link Association, January 2011 briefing. So, Karen, do you have any comments on that? Go ahead.
Because one of the things that probably should be known, or what A.R. Borden was talking about, was insider groups having pretty extensive contact with extraterrestrial races about, the Earth-human dilemma, the situation. There's a couple things, because we're kind of along for the ride, no matter what the planet's going to do, right? And we are at a pre-first contact scenario. Although many individuals have been contacted, governments have been contacted, the concept of first contact is a global phenomenon where everybody knows. It hasn't happened to us yet. And, of course, we're painted into a corner by religion, politics, and government conspiring together to keep us in the dark about extraterrestrial, fairly crowded universe that we're in. So, man, on any given day, I have to admit I'm all over the place on the Nibiru question. I'm an optimist. I was raised a pessimist, an extreme pessimist in my household. My father was a conspiracy theory guy, and his hazard wasn't particularly Nibiru Armageddon, but that the communists were going to take over the world and they were going to be killed. So, I was kind of raised in that pessimistic way as a young person. And I sort of decided somewhere during the course of my life that, okay, so if we completely get destroyed, then at least I'm going to be happy till the end, or I'm going to be positive to the end, no matter what happens. Because if the way you live your life philosophically, negative in any way. It takes away from your quality of life today now that you have. But what's important is a number of things to focus in on. One thing is, no matter what happens to us, has happened to us, whatever is in the timeline, it's very important to know that the governments believe this. They believed it from studies by the Vatican. That was included in their Armageddon scenario. For instance, that we just said the planet Wormwood, which is in the Revelation, as being something that strikes the Earth and kills and destroys and poisons the water of, 1/3 of the Earth. So they really did believe in these prophecies, which could have been not just prophecies, but recounts of earlier times that Nibiru came through. In other words, it was they were hedging their bets because of the fact that this had already happened, and they had evidence of that. Evidence that they didn't always tell us about. They kept us to at least a religious narrative that humanity kind of went from caveman to where we are now in about 6,000 years, or Adam and Eve, or either one. And pretty primitive to jet planes and going to space. But honestly, we're finding now through out of time OOPARTS. And basically, it's artifacts out of their proper time frame, which is either a time travel thing or it is these earlier iterations. So the thing about it is, so let me go back to the movie 2012, which again I disliked because all the billionaires got to be on the ark, and we were all really in a bad way. And I think the missing part of that movie, by the way, if everybody remembers it, the elite and one very lucky family ends up in these arks, which were up in the Himalaya mountains, I think, and they were basically arks, just like Noah's Ark. They had animals in them. They had a nice, comfortable accommodations for all the elite people. The queen got to save her dogs, think of her corgi dogs, Right. They had all the world leaders there. And basically, I got the feeling, at least when I, kind of been through this, is that the ark in question were not tickets to an ark that's going to potentially be endangered on the surface of the Earth, but actually spacefaring. Because some of the documentation is that you're going to pay $1 billion to get a ticket off planet. Or
a submarine.
Space. Yeah, or in a deep... Go ahead.
Or a submarine or submerged.
Yeah, submarine, yeah. You could be down the Marianas Trench, would be in pretty good shape. So, yeah, they had these escape plans. We just watched a movie from, I think it's the 80s or 70s, called Alternative 3, which was the idea that this is what they were going to do. They were going to take us off planet to Mars. They were going to take us up in a space capsule. They were going to take us to the recent movie Packing for Mars that's out. It's about how the plan was to take a colony up to Mars, and ostensibly we have one, possibly one on the moon. I mean, they were just going to skedaddle while the Earth was, shaped like an Etch-a-Sketch and recycled, I guess, through this thing. But the thing is, they really, by virtue of, as you kind of dig through the secret literature, by virtue of how much preparation that Bob was talking about earlier, they believed it. So, like, if we passed the threshold of danger, let's say 2012 was the banner year for this, we've got an interesting conundrum because the disaster didn't happen, and they have taken the resources of the planet for their Alternative 3 plan and left most of the surface people in a very destitute situation, economic disaster for most people. Most people are in a declining situation. Okay, now, like this Panama Papers thing that's going on, we're having this apocalypso, this revelation of what just happened, basically. And they've got to tell us either what's happening or what's happened, because how long, up to the point where you see several planets up in the sky that didn't used to be there, how are they going to reveal this to us? And I got to say, one of the things, too, is that I've been an astronomer since I was a little kid. I have noticed when you go out to look in the night sky, you only see the major stars and major constellations. You see way less of these smaller pinpoint kinds of stars, or less of the track of the Milky Way than you used to be able to, leading to the idea that the chemtrailing has been to shield the daytime sky and the nighttime sky from whatever it is that they don't want us to see. So they
That's
have
right.
put, obviously, a tremendous amount of resources into this event. So if the event isn't going to happen as scripted, we're in an interesting position because the only way they can get out of this is we're going to have to know the truth. Otherwise,
No.
we're going to have to explain why did they do that? Why did they
All
prepare
they're
that?
Okay, Sasha wants to say something. Okay, and then we'll go back.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, he's got his hand raised.
From my perspective, the Maya, when Kukulkan, who's Thoth, or Nagashita, left the Maya in 311 BCE, he said, I'm going to come back December 21st, 2012. I'm going to bring with me 9 gods and 13 gods. And the way that's obviously saying that the gods are also the way they allude to the planets. And so that it's there it is. And it takes another step when you look at the politics of Nibiru, because King Anu had abdicated and made Nanar king, and he had basically been instructed by the powers of the Federation in Kalzu to stop Marduk pitting us against each other and warring with Nanar's men here on Earth and assassinating each other and so forth, and that he's putting Enki in charge of this next Sati Yuga, this era, and indeed, I wouldn't be at all surprised if the Anunnaki that were part of this effort by the linkage, were right there in the descendants of Anu, who takes very seriously this mission that they've been given by Kalzu. It's my input.
Okay. Where do you want the ball again?
To Janet.
All right. So I'm going to pass it back. Karen, were you done? Because I think you raised the point, and then we'll go back to Bob.
Oh, no, yeah,
finished?
I was just throwing that out there because that's the amount of spending that they've done, where they've literally, the 1% of 1% got practically everything, and the rest of us have a fraction of what they've got. That's a reflection of what another economist, Catherine Austin Fitts, called the UFO budget, or there's some kind of weird black hole in the budget of the United States and the global economy where a bunch of resources are going, and where did it go? And so that's an indication right there.
Okay. Back to you, Bob, for a round. And let's see, coming up on the top of the hour. I think we're planning to go about 90 minutes here. So if you could just kind of watch the clock, go about between 5 and 10 minutes, and then pause a little bit and ask the other panel members if they have any comments.
You got it.
Feedback. Okay, thank you so much. Go ahead.
Movie 2012. They leaked so much information in that movie, I'm surprised the people weren't arrested. Near the end of the movie, you see a Chinese monk sitting up in his monastery. He feels the wind. He turns around and hears the oceans coming over the mountains. That's from ancient history. Emperor Yao. Chinese Emperor Yao. Y-O-U or Y-A-H-O-U. He said that this thing came out of the constellation of Yin, and it caused the oceans to top the high mountains of China. It took them 13 years to drain the salt water from the high mountain valleys back down to the rivers. He had to send around 4 teams. They had to find out where north, south, east, and west was again. Of Enki, Zechariah Sitchin. In that book, if anyone's read it, from tablets number 9, number 10, the Anunnaki knew that Nibiru's orbit was altered by the 7 from the Earth out to Pluto. And it was getting closer and closer and closer towards Mars. And they also knew that the Earth would be on the wrong side of the solar system, and so would Mars. It caused heavy damage to both the Earth and the Mars. It ripped away Mars' atmosphere. They couldn't use as a mid-place for the melting of the gold and other minerals they were taking from the Earth. it caused all of the ice to be ripped off of Antarctica, causing a huge ring of water to go up to the North Pole, back down to the South Pole, up to the North Pole, back and forth. Okay, the Colburn has a part almost exactly as if it was taken directly from Zecharia Sitchin. It says the ark was built in 7 days by Ziasudra, the other name for Noah.
Right.
It was built, it had 3 decks, and then a smaller deck up on top. Each one of the decks were split in 2, right in the middle, making 6 decks. Each deck had a water cistern which was tarred inside and out. You can't drink from a tarred cistern. You'd be dead. They were ballast tanks. The account says it wasn't just Noah or Ziasudra who went on board. It was the king and one person from every trade going down the line.
What was the ballast tanks for? Explain that to me a little bit. What do you mean?
It's submerged. It's submerged.
Right.
It's submerged almost to a point, but it never went completely underwater.
Mm-hmm.
When the ark was lifted off, they felt intense heat and intense cold. Right in that account.
Uh-huh.
2 other authors, English authors, came up with several books years ago, and they explained using a different name for something very massive coming near the Earth, slowing the Earth's rotation down. Now, where's all the water around our planet? It's at the equators. The Earth's rotation slows down, the water settles back down around the entire planet, making it deeper, deeper, deeper. The winds wouldn't stop. They would keep going. That's the intense heat. The Hopis are also in this. The Hopi peoples. The ancient prophecy said that the 3rd Hopi world died by water, and that the Earth's rotation was reversed. That's where the cold came in. Because as the Earth was reversed and it started to spin back up, everything was frozen. All those nice mammoths up there that still have nice green stuff in their stomachs and in their throats. I wonder how that ever happened.
Quick freeze.
Then, exactly. So how did the Hopis know that the Earth's rotation was reversed? These 2 authors in these 2...
Obviously, somebody survived something.
The authors from these 2 books said the exact same thing. It reversed the Earth's rotation. Now the Hopis are hoping that at the end of the 4th world, which is very quickly coming, that the Earth's rotation will be reversed. Now, back to your other thing. I'll try and make it really fast.
That sounds like what Gordon was describing, reversed.
Yeah. The Templars and the Hospitallers were told under the Pope back in the 1180s to put a certain type of cross, an 8-pointed cross on their clothes. The Templars found something in Jerusalem, and they became the richest in the world. They ruled almost everything. Interesting. The Templars started the Freemasons, the Illuminati, and the another group. Rosicrucians, yes. And this one Anunnaki statue, it's the only one. I have it. At least a good picture of it. Anunnaki standing bare-chested, pointing up towards certain things that are up on the wall. Around his neck is a chain. The only one of the Anunnakis that have a chain around their neck. At the end of the chain is a big circle with an 8-pointed cross in the middle of it. I had to research where that 8-pointed cross came from. That was Cain's mark. Cain and Abel, according to Zechariah Sitchin, were created by the Anunnaki. When Cain killed Abel, they put that mark on his head, and that mark would go for the rest of his family line. Cain was banished to the other side of the planet. Shouldn't have been anyone there, since you just had Adam and Eve and dead Abel. But Cain's family became very important. How did he have a family? Where did this other woman come from? They started the Rosicrucians, the Freemasons, the Illuminati. The Anunnaki hybrids like Ziusudra, Moses, and a whole bunch of other names that had almost 1,000-year lives in the Holy Bible. They passed that thing down to their families. There's a Freemason in almost every huge industry, every country. The United States was started by Freemasons. Almost all the presidents were Freemasons. Do you think they're pointing us to a certain point? See, there is no holy grail in my opinion. It's a bloodline. It's been passed down, and they're ruling everything. Okay? I'm sorry. That's my opinion. You know, that's why you have all these different groups. That's why you had this one Anunnaki statue with this nice thing around his neck. That's where the 8-pointed cross from the Templars and the Hospitallers started the Knights of Malta. My wife is Maltese. Her parents came from Malta after World War II. We went there last June in 2015. All I can see was just Maltese cross, Maltese cross. Then my friend suddenly changed his picture on his Facebook page to this one and only photograph of an Anunnaki with this thing around his chest.
Interesting.
Looks like it's time for...
You there?
Yeah, I
What'd you
just
say,
stopped
time
right there. It's time for commercials or someone else to talk?
We could go. Yeah, okay, passing. Josh wants to say something.
It's a very small aside because I've been doing, research, and I love your description of history, Bob. You've just mastered this material and made it available in a dramatic way. I love the way you tell tales. Thank you so much. In terms of Cain, some of my recent studies have deepened a little bit. Cain was actually one of the sons of these two women, both of whom Enki, the chief scientist, Anunnaki, had impregnated. So the tale goes in the Sumerian tale that Sitchin translated. And so that there was these two twins that were born, the boy and a girl, and they called it Adapa and Titi. And Adapa and Titi became mates. And there was one child that was Abel. That was the child of Adapa and Titi. But the other child, Cain, real father was Enki.
Yeah.
And so, after Cain had killed Abel, because Abel was basically representing agriculture, and Enki's guys for doing the herds, and Marduk, Enki's prince son, who thought he should be king of everything, and pretty much became that after a while. But Marduk was...
Ziusudra is also Enki's son.
That's right. That comes later, much later in history. So So Enki said, "Look, Marduk, this is our line. We can't kill. This is my son too. He's your half brother. Get it?" And so then Marduk started defending KN too, and so that basically that line has been protected. And they were the people that were brought over to Lake Titicaca to build the spaceport there when Marduk's forces were closing in on them in Sinai. Anyway, that's just a little aside about KN and who these characters really were. They're Marduk and then Nanar too would actually play both sides of all the wars to the people that are beholden to them, and just keep it going so that we never realize that there's just these few people that have been manipulating us by debt and by war and by stuff like that, so that we never realize we're being ruled. And finally, the Federation has stepped in and said, enough. It's time for you are responsible for this hybrid species. You made them. Now you can't just leave them like that. You've got to stop their use of nukes and preserve them from the incoming of Nibiru. We know when it's coming, and we know we have the technology. We think we can do something about it. And I think they did. And it's really interesting. What I've analyzed is why people seem so afraid of Nibiru coming, and they're just panicked about it, is because they're afraid of dying. And yet, if you can center yourself, you can embrace both your finite self. Yeah, you'll die in this body. Even if you live 2,000 or 10,000 years, whatever, still it would end at some point. That's finitude. So you can embrace both finitude and the infinite, and identify with the mind of the cosmos, which is in every molecule and the greatest of astronomical spaces too. And so it's all there, and so you can be contented.
And I just wanted to point out, and I don't know what's the truth or not, or what's reality or not, quote unquote, but so Lawrence Ardner's thought and his all the different libraries of the royals and their hidden knowledge that they had there, his research, he concluded that Cain really didn't slay Abel. He just was perceived to be better than. So it wasn't an actual murder. It was just that he was shining more bright, like Noah was called the shining one.
He was Enki's kid.
He was Enki's kid, and so he outshone poor Abel, who disappeared into history and died, much earlier death because he was a human. And so that was his form of slaying. It wasn't that he actually murdered anybody. Kind of makes Cain not such a bad person, that he didn't actually kill somebody, but he just was who he was. And anyway, so I have to research that more, but I think that's true.
He provoked Abel. They built up this fight. It built in great detail in the Sumerian tale. It's really amazing. The herdsman brings his herds on the other guy's crops, and they ruins them, and then they start fighting about who's being favored by the rulers. And it's really a drama.
Right. So anyway, let's give Karen a chance. If you want to take a break, we can. We just keep going for another 20 minutes. So, Karen, I guess back to you.
You know how hard I worked on those commercials. Go ahead, let's take a break.
Karen wants us to play her commercial that she made for us. Let me see if I can find it.
I haven't heard this yet.
Yeah, she made. That's not it. Where is it? Whole problem with this mixer board. I'm not sure where it is. So let me see if I can find it real quick. Okay, commercial. Here it is. We're going to take a little commercial break. We'll be back in a few.
Yeah, just think about how you'd like to be reincarnated, just in case it is a doomie.
Yeah, in case we die, plan on your next life. All right, we're back in a few minutes. 4 minutes.
Join the KCOR Digital Radio Network Tuesday at 2:30 p.m. Pacific as we connect the dots and unravel the cosmic mysteries with Divine Paradigm. Divine Paradigm, hosted by Dr. Sasha Lessin and Janet Kira Lessin. Interview those in the know, whether it be researchers, whistleblowers, contactees, or military mind control programs.
Testing. Can you hear me?
Have you ever wanted to learn about ancient texts, suppressed history, spiritual ascendance, as well as past, future, and simultaneous life existences?
This is one of the most important decisions you'll ever make.
Then you need to tune into Divine Paradigm.
Divine Paradigm.
Tuesdays at 2:30 p.m. Pacific, 5:30 p.m. Eastern.
I'm doing it. I can do it. I'm doing it.
Exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. Coming March 1st, 2016.
Every region of the world and most countries can go back in their history and trace their origins, traditions, and religions to a creator god or an angel from the sky, the stars, heaven, or even underground from the underworld. This is the common story of extraterrestrials seeding our planet. My name is Reverend John M. Polk. I am an international metaphysical minister, a Reiki master teacher, and a medium. My book is Yahweh, the Biblical God is an Alien. The premise of my book is that there is a real God and that Yahweh is a creator God alien who is indicating he is ready to reveal his alien origins to humanity at this time. You can find my book at johnpolkmedia.com. That's JOHNPOLK media.com. johnpolkmedia.com.
My name is Karen Christine Patrick, and I want to tell you about the Cleanse for Life solution from Isogenics. The need to cleanse is vital in today's dangerously toxic world. Our demanding lifestyles, environmental toxins, poor nutrition, and daily stresses overload our body's own detoxification defenses. Unlike a colon cleanse or laxative product, Cleanse for Life uses a synergistic blend of gentle cleansing herbs and other natural compounds to ensure the energizing nutrients flood into the body as the toxins are cleansed out. My favorite Isogenics product is the Cleanse for Life solution. I drink it as a hot beverage in the morning every day. You can find out more at my website, kcpatrick.isogenics.com. That's K, C as in cat, patrick.isagenix.com. kcpatrick.isogenics.com. Cleanse for Life.
Who are we to say? With all the planets and all the galaxies and all the solar systems, we're the only intelligent life form? We can't. An out-of-this-world experience here on Earth. Your eyes will be open to an exciting lineup of speakers, exhibitors, and copious aha moments. Experiencers, UFOs, extraterrestrials. It's all coming. Alien Cosmic Expo, June 24th to 26th at the Best Western Plus Brant Park Inn. Tickets at aliencosmicexpo.com.
And we are back. This is Janet Kira Lessin on Aquarium Radio at aquariumradio.com, an episode of We the Anunnaki with our hosts, of course, me, Janet Kira Lessin, Karen Christine Patrick, Dr. Sasha Lessin, and our guest, Robert Evans Jr., and we are talking about Planet X Nibiru, the Anunnaki, AR Board, the Linkage Institute, the flood, the Great Flood, and many other things. So we're back. Sash, you have something you want to say?
Well, I just wondered if anyone, at the end, before the break, I said, well, let's imagine we all get wiped out. What would you like your next incarnation to be like? Just see what comes to you, and just let's hear it. What about you, Janet?
Well, I didn't even think about it.
Do it now, right this moment.
I'm planning on staying here for a long, long time.
And after that long time is over?
I don't know, dear. I will be an enlightened being, and I can choose where I want to go in the continuum, whether I want to, and what it is my focus of attention. Where do I focus my attention, my consciousness? I already simultaneously exist on many levels in all dimensions, and I can go back in my consciousness to the oneness and remember that I'm one, and then some parts will come down into the individual beings that are alive, dead, and other dimensions, and everything in between. So I will continue to do what I'm doing now, which is to shift my focus from where I am in the continuum into what form, what avatar I wish to animate at what time. That's where I'm going to go.
Thank you.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay. Karen, what do you think of that?
Thank you.
Great question.
Oh.
Can you hear me now? Am I on?
Yes, I can.
Oh,
you
okay.
Are unmuted. Go for it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's a great question. I was kind of a young child as a first grader age when Star Trek came out, and I pretty much felt like I was, between that and the space program, promised to go out into space in my lifetime, and here I am still grounded. I've been a little bit ticked off about that. So the being grounded on Earth was a lovely place. I didn't like to see more of it because I haven't traveled as much as I'd liked either. But I'd actually like to get out and see this big universe, galaxy. Just the solar system would be fun to just look at up close and personal. So, yeah, I would want to incarnate and or be in some kind of civilization where they travel around in motherships and get to explore stuff. That sounds like a fun thing for me.
Wow. Thank you.
Great. And so, Bob, what would you do in your next incarnation if your ex came down and wiped us all out, or at least wiped you out, because you're not one of the elite?
I would love to be immortal, because there's not enough time to see everything around the planet. You know, during one lifetime, I'm sorry. You know, I want to go to all these places that I've been seeing all these years on the science shows, like, you know, Babylon, Jerusalem, the megastones over there in the Baalbek Temple. I want to see everything.
Wow.
Sounds good. All right, so we've got about 15 minutes left of the show. Where do we want to go?
I really need to step. Yeah. The flood of Ziusudra of Noah was roughly 12,900 years ago. The last time this thing came through was during the exodus of the Hebrews out of Egypt. That's been dated now to 1613 BC. Over on the ancient Greek island of Thera, now called Santorini, they found an olive tree at the lowest level where the ground was before the volcanic ash went on top. They positively dated it 15 BC. Ippur, an Egyptian scribe during the Exodus, detailed the entire account. Very well detailed it. Hardly anyone knows about it, and no one's talking about it except for very few people. He detailed what happened when the destroyer was in their skies, what it did, who left, and what happened. Ippur was very clear. The slaves were leaving, and the evildoers had latched on to the group of the slaves. The evildoers were the Egyptians who latched on to the Hebrews as they left. He detailed the entire account, where they went, here, there, blah, blah, blah. He said volcanic ash was falling all over Egypt, that the fire in the sky was raining down huge asteroid debris. It was smashing almost everyone's house, including the palace. The Pharaoh lost his firstborn. The only problem there, though, is that it wasn't an Egyptian Pharaoh. That's why there's no account. The Egyptians were not in charge of Upper Egypt. The Hyksos were. The Hyksos were ruling Upper Egypt from the 12th Egyptian dynasty till the end of the 17th Egyptian dynasty. Akhmos and his brother led the attack on the Hyksos and kicked them out of Egypt. The Hyksos were followed by Egyptian forces, and they were pushed up towards what's now Jerusalem. Akhmos in Hebrew means brother of Moses.
Mm-hmm.
The slaves were led by a priest prince from the inner courtyard of the Hyksos pharaoh, because the Hyksos kept using all the normal terms. Ippawar described very clearly what happened during this stuff. And it's very put in here. He said its movement, the doom shape called the destroyer in Egypt, was seen in all the lands thereabout. In color, it was bright and fiery. In appearance, changing and unstable. It was not a great comet or a loosened star, being more like a fiery body of flame. Its movements on high were slow. Below it swirled in a matter of smoke, and remained close to the sun, whose face it hid. There was a bloody redness about it. He puts down very clearly that the dark days began with the last visitation of the destroyer, and they were foretold by strange omens in the skies. He said all this stuff happened, and blah, blah, blah. I don't have the time to read it through here. He said the earth felt like it turned over, like on a potter's wheel. Near the very end, he goes into much more description. I'm going there right now. Behold, in the days long gone into dust, a whirlwind came, and earth poured out her wrathful breath, so that you were burnt. The evildoers were swept away by the waters, and the wicked ones were swallowed up in the fires. The days of the years were shortened, and the times of all things altered. The seasons were turned around so that the seed rotted within the soil, and no green shoots came forth to greet the day. All buds withered upon the vines, land dead in its gray shroud. The moon changed the order of her ways, and the sun set herself a new course, so that men knew not where they were afflicted. He goes on to say that the Hebrews, Kebrews, left Egypt. Now the Hyksos were a Canaanite people. I don't know how many Canaanite tribes are over there, because the Israelis are also Canaanite.
That's right.
He says very clear here. My land is old. 120 generations have passed since Osiris brought light to men. 4 times the stars have moved to new positions, and twice the sun has changed the direction of his journey. Twice the destroyer has struck earth. Does not tell what he meant by that. And 3 times the heavens have opened and shut. Doesn't describe anything about that. Twice the land has been swept clean by water. These are all pole shift accounts. Now, this was 1613. 1600 BC, Mozi of China. Mozi, M-O-Z-I of China, tells almost the exact same thing. He puts down that during the time of the warlords, 3 gods appeared and aligned themselves with one warlord, and they punished all the other warlords for not laying down their arms. They caused great amounts of sand and rocks to fall from the sky for almost 9 days. Ippawar says the exact time, 9 to 10 days. Wow. They said it became very hot and it became very cold. Forest fires were set and stuff was frozen. Remember that earlier account about the ark feeling hot and cold?
This is confirmation from
Same thing.
two sides of the world.
Right.
Confirmation. Yeah.
Exactly. And he said all these different things happen. Almost sound exactly what happened in Egypt. The movie 2012, a pole shift. Now, my contact, the Palladian 7B woman, she told me to not be afraid. She told me it will not be as damaging as Noah's flood, but things will happen. And she's refused to tell me anything further, other than to tell people to get prepared as if they're going on a 6-month backpacking trip.
Now, let me ask you, in all your historical accounts, there's no way to really determine, to ascertain that this is going to happen every time the Nibiru comes through. It just happens sometimes. Know how to make that determination. Correct.
Well, the Hopi described very clearly at the end of the third Hopi world, which was heavily technological. They got around using flying shields. The Indian people, they got around using vimanas.
Right.
The Hopi said there was a great deal of heavy earthquakes. Okay? Earth crustal displacement. We're going to have massive earthquakes all over the place. That's going to take out our roads, our bridges, and everything else. So you're going to have to be mostly on foot, assuming there's not any massive flooding. But those maps put out by Edgar Casey show a tremendous amount of flooding. The entire west coast is gone except for huge islands all the way up to Canada. Tahoe is one huge island. On up. The the deep underground military vaults are all active now. I have that from a military friend. The dome under the Denver airport is fully activated. In one of the mountains called Arsenal something, they opened up 3 15-story buildings that are underneath the mountain going down 2,000 feet.
Populated.
Well, they're fully activated. I mean, they have everyone inside that has to be inside.
Wow. It's already there.
They know this. They know this thing's coming. They know at least what they were told or what they think is going to happen is going to happen. They think they're going to sit in these deep underground military bases until all the dust settles. So whatever happens, they figure. Yes.
Let's imagine that it's like they're all ready for it to happen and it never happens. Then what happens? If hey, this is look at the sky far out, and but there's no terrible disaster, but stuff we basically get through.
And that's exactly what almost all the contactees, including myself, completely by surprise. That the Star Force, or whatever term you want to use, is going to stop them. Eisenhower threatened to shoot them from the sky if they ever came back in 1954. They've shown up over every nuclear missile site around the planet and has shut down the stuff every single time. Soho, stereo behind, stereo ahead. The Sechi, U.S. Navy satellites are on stereo ahead, stereo behind. They've been showing massive starships coming into our system since 1998. These starships have been firing at things, massive beams of energy, and have been taking out asteroids that have gotten too close or would be getting too close. I have over 3,000 photographs showing this. They have intervened on our side. Years ago, they put massive things almost the size of our planet all around our sun. NASA knows this. I have several images of these things around our sun. They're controlling our sun's interaction with Nemesis, which is a brown dwarf star which orbits around our solar system, and it's 7 planets. Nibiru is number 6. Sedna, Sedna, a dwarf planet, which all of your listeners can find on their astronomy programs. Open it up, we have our solar system, click on dwarf planets, click on Sedna, and back way off. Here's our little tiny solar system inside the massive orbit of Sedna, a completely circular orbit. Okay? So they've already intervened. They want us to survive as advanced humans this time so we can go up to the next level. At least that's what I'm told. So all I can do is believe that my contact is telling me to say the right thing, that we don't have to worry too much about it, but things will happen. Now, right. The Hopi said that the blue star Kachina would arrive and the Star Brothers would dance in the plaza, meaning for everyone to see, not just the Hopi, for everyone to see, and they would take off their mask so you would know exactly what they look like. That sounds like first contact to me. Mm-hmm. But they had determined that the humans had fallen so far away from their original purpose. The red star Kachina, the big red thing you've got pictures of, would cleanse the planet.
Oh my gosh!
Cleanse. Now, what does a pole shift do? Okay, only certain few survive.
Yeah.
People on the ark, people up in the mountains, they survived. Enlil was angrier than Beep because Enki had told Zayasudra. And that's when Enki told Enlil that Zayasudra was his son, and he couldn't let his son and his family die.
Mm-hmm.
See, all like the other woman here in on the show, it's all been kept away from us all. Things have been damaged. They've been misinterpreted. They've been falsely said they're garbage, blah, blah, blah. Because the Enkis want the humans to go on where Enlil doesn't want them to go on. That's why we're all not trusting each other. See, the Hopis had the same thing as Babylon or Marduk. The Hopis and the white people that went with a certain term for it, Pahanas, I think it is. The Hopis and the Pahanas all arrived in the New World, and because everyone spoke one language during the Third World of Hopi. So when they arrived over here, the chief of the Hopi people asked their god to change their languages so they couldn't understand each other the next day. Next morning, different groups couldn't talk to each other, including the Pahanas, the white people. So either there's a whole bunch of people lying left and right, and I've never heard that about Zachariah Sitchin. No one has come out to say, this guy is a bald-faced, bleep, 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 bleep. Zachariah Sitchin was seen in several videos where the Vatican was telling him to tone down his stance. See, interesting thing, the Jesuits 1955, an Israeli Vatican U.S. space probe with alien technology was made in Area 51. It was launched by the Aurora space plane. It went from the Earth all the way out past Pluto and met up with the planet Nibiru. It videotaped planet Nibiru for who knows how long. It came all the way back in what I'm told was less than a month. Less than a month. It downloaded all of the information to a secret Jesuit base on a HARP facility up in Alaska. That was all leaked in early 2000 by a high-ranking Jesuit priest to an Italian reporter. Interesting.
Wow.
Pope Benedict, the first pope in 600 years to retire. For whatever reason, everyone has a theory on it. After he retired, he got on several German radio shows and was blasting the Jesuits for their alien agenda. Ooh. Pope Francis, a very good man, I'm told, is a Jesuit. 2 books have been put out over the years thinking he's going to be the official first contactee for all the Catholics. And I can guarantee you the Jewish faith, the Muslim faith, and almost every other faith that knows about this has already made their plans too. China, years ago, started building massive cities down in Africa. They're completely abandoned. They have everything, power, water, sewer system, everything. They're under heavy guard to let no one go in. Why do the Chinese build these massive cities for, and they're all sitting there waiting for something? They did the same thing up in the Gobi Desert. We have been shipping M1 Abrams battle tanks to Norway to be hidden inside massive caves for almost 3 years in a row. A new friend I got about a month ago now, he had an article on his Facebook page showing several rows, I think it was about 4 or 5 rows and maybe hundreds deep of Humvees with the machine gun on top. Nice clean area. It said the photograph was leaked showing all these U.S. Humvees, United States sign on them, all hidden in several caves up in Norway. The Doomsday Seed Vault. 60 Minutes ran that years ago. They only found out about it because of the massive amounts of money that the world's billionaires paid for it. Bill Gates all the way down. That's the only reason 60 Minutes found it. The Doomsday Seed Vault, the small Vard Seed Vault, if it loses power, can remain frozen for 25 years. The United States has a massive seed vault even bigger than that one up in Denver. Almost every country has a seed vault around the planet.
Wow.
Ippelwer's tale was very clear. That fire from the sky burned everything that grew. Orchards, fields, vines. They almost starved until they found where the new growing seasons were. Eisenhower was probably told that by the Nordics in 1955. Okay, so we're already prepared for something. Is it going to happen? I don't know. I can only tell you what I have had researched over the years. Okay? You both have met me. I don't think I'm a liar. Okay?
Nope.
This is all the stuff I found. All these pictures I have showing these things in our sky, none of the other researchers of Nibiru are looking at. But if they are, they keep it quiet.
Wow.
They're probably nice people with excellent educations. I'm the only one posting the photographs on my Facebook page of every one of these people. Dr. Greer told me and my wife a couple of years back that we are in contact with at least 50 alien races on a daily basis.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm quite sure a lot of the other ones probably know about this too. Whether they don't,
absolutely.
It's not my fault.
You can't be in this community and not look at the perfectly reasonable research done by a whole lot of people that confirm the very sequence that you've been mentioning. It's just there. I'm amazed at.
Now, in the movie 2012, the main character goes up to Yellowstone, and he finds his favorite radio show person right there, and gets to talk to him. That's the guy that used to be on Cheers. He was the bartender. He was also, I think, a congressman one term. He pulls
Woody
down.
Harrelson.
Yes.
Woody Harrelson. He's the crazy guy up at Yellowstone.
Right.
Waiting for the end.
He's pulling down these video screens, and here's a long list on every one of all the astronomers that tried to leak it and they were killed, or they died weirdly. Yeah. There is a same thing. There's a long list of U.S. astronomers and other astronomers around the planet. They have all been accidentally killed or died suddenly. So someone's been trying to leak this stuff, and they've been found out. Mm-hmm. Very clear. Okay? NASA, 2007-2008, imaged the brown dwarf star we call Nemesis.
Yes.
You guys have seen those pictures before.
Yes.
Nemesis has 7 planets. NASA leaked all these other stuff. Exactly what we're seeing. Nibiru had anywhere from 3 to 11 moons. They imaged Nibiru itself in 2008. I have copies of all this stuff. And I've been posting them up on Facebook. And you have them there. Been on several other different shows. That's one heck of an orbit to be circling around Nibiru out between Mars and Jupiter. But if you look at that orbit that Sedna, the dwarf planet, has around our solar system, it's massive. It's probably 2 or 3 times massive. And that's one of the 7 planets. We've seen 4 of these things in our skies. I have the photographs to match it. In fact, my friends around the planet are starting to see it more and more and more now. And they're sending in the photographs.
Well, I guess, if you don't know the swim, then you better sing the hymn.
That's it. I'm sorry. This is the information I found during my research. Okay.
Sure.
So Edgar Casey, the Sleeping Prophet, backs up all this other stuff. Backs up almost everything I've found. Every president has pinned those little things on the White House desk that they're put into law immediately. What's the name of those stupid things? If there has to be martial law, the internet gets shut down, telephones get shut down, everything gets shut down. That way you can't tell everyone else around the planet what's happening in your neck of the woods. Okay? The survivors, there have been numerous nightmares, visions, well before Obama became a senator. And this is the scary part. They said a huge tidal wave hit the United States, and all the survivors were in what they called the hiding times.
Whoa.
Because the black helicopters were picking up the survivors, and they were taking them to the FEMA camps. There was a black U.S. president, brand new U.S. flag. This scared a lot of my friends when he became senator and then became president. Obama was supposed to have had an alien ambassador to the UN several times. He's refused. They want an alien ambassador. This stuff, it's just been one thumbtack in the, just leading the way we're heading. One thumbtack after another, after another, after another. I don't know if we're going to have a pole shift. I don't know if we're going to have a massive wave like was seen in the movie 2012. It was, 1633 meters high, racing up towards the Himalayas. I don't know if that's going to happen.
It was a very dynamic scene, yeah.
But one thing 2012 did not show, where were all of our Navy ships?
Well,
where were the Russian?
Where were the Russian ships?
I'm sorry.
No, that's
we would
okay.
have.
What I want to do is give Karen a little chance to say something.
I will shut up. I will shut up then. I'm sorry,
just
Karen.
For a few minutes.
We love what you're saying, and we're fascinated, and we just want to give Karen a little shot.
Yeah, we just want to pass the ball a little bit because we're running out of time here. So I'm sure Karen's over there going with her hands raised, but we can't see her. Karen.
Oh, you know me so well. I don't know. I have in the face of diversity, I have the Irish dark humor. When he was talking about the red kachina or the blue kachina, I was thinking about Earth, the red pill or the blue pill. But anyway, I feel, well, a lot of what he's saying I have absolutely seen in the information that I've looked at. It's obvious from looking at, what these maneuvers have been about is to have some kind of contingency plan that protects a certain group of the people, maybe scientists and engineers and people who can repopulate the Earth with, some kind of terraforming thing. So all these things were definitely believed by the government, by maybe a secret government, secret cabal, and of course they didn't have any, idea that they were going to tell us about it, which is a little unfair. At least Noah told his neighbors, right, according to the Bible. But anyway, I want to say this, though, is that it's interesting if it doesn't happen, what happens, because we will know that they were going to, leave us to the elements, so to speak, and that'll be interesting in terms of world governance, as we find out that they were all prepared for this and didn't prepare us for that. But a couple of things. You talked about who met Eisenhower on the tarmac, and it's Bob Dean, no less than Bob Dean, who I love, because when I want to feel positive, I go listen to Bob Dean.
Gerald Light.
Yes?
Gerald Light wrote a letter to his friend telling him all about what happened. He was there with Randolph Hearst in 1954.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to put this one part in really fast. About Star Trek.
He said the Nordics were the Anunnaki, and they said don't make a treaty with the Greys, and we made the Greada Treaty, which was trading technology for abduction. Yeah, I believe it's one of the stories.
Okay, Gerald Light says here in his letter, which is on my web page, I had forgotten how commonplace things as dematerialization of solid objects had become to my own mind. the coming and going of an etheric or spirit body. He said that this hand-picked team of Western scientists, their jaws were on the floor many times as they watched a big block of something, dematerialization. Star Trek was the first book, TV show, movie to ever use that term for the transporter.
Yes, and Gene Roddenberry was tipped off by insiders. So he had if you know what you're looking for, in the original Star Trek series, you can find an awful lot of this back-end material that starts even in the very first pilot. In the very first pilot of the movie, or became the show later on, they show this the aliens reading the technical or the history of Earth, and if you slow that down and look, you'll see spacecraft that was on the drawing table that was not declassified, flipping through that little slideshow really, really fast. So now later you can go back and, of course, YouTube, you can slow it down and look. But the thing is, we've had this being revealed to us. So I do believe you're right. I think maybe the elite types of people wanted to leave us out to dry. I don't believe we as America, kind of, if we see someone, Honduras has a great hurricane, we will send so many resources, the Red Cross, as much as we can to help people. I think I can't imagine that our star neighbors don't feel the same way, especially if we're at a point in our history where we're ready to, have a consciousness raising and go to the stars that they wouldn't help us. So I just want to say for myself, I believe that help is either on the way, already arrived, and we'll probably go through some difficulty, no doubt. Just because of some of the technologies that have been unleashed on us, like HARP and whatnot. I just think that that we have a good picture as well as the scenario that's been painted that's somewhat negative. So that's what I have to say.
What
Sasha.
Led up to that?
Okay, yes.
Let's Sasha do the follow-up, okay? And
in terms of this, the whole catastrophe we're looking at, I'm reminded of Neil Young saying that he saw the spaceship with man's silver seed taking man to a new home in the sun. And I've interviewed Laura Eisenhower and others who, Laura was approached by government agents would you like to be one of the leaders on the Mars colony? There's a base on Mars, and people have been going there already, and it's there. And this has been confirmed by our interviews with Andy Bashago and Randy Kramer. It's already there.
Dr. Courtney Brown knows it also.
So let's wrap this up. So Bob will give you the final word, and then back to the closing.
Eisenhower was going to go public with the 1954 thing. It was stopped by MJ-12, which was started by Truman.
Mm-hmm.
Eisenhower's hands were tied. When he met with the Nordics in 1955, he went back to the White House and ordered everyone to never mention flying saucers, aliens ever again during his time in the office. He said something to Kennedy. Kennedy knew something was going on. He showed up unannounced at numerous military bases and would only talk to the unenlisted people only. The BBC did several years ago saying that Kennedy was killed because he knew about aliens. They found 2 desktop accounts that he ordered all this material to be on his desk when he got back from Dallas. He never came back from Dallas.
Wow.
And they showed the original documents. You can find me on the internet at www.starshipsaroundthesun.com. You can find me on Facebook under Robert H. Evans, Jr. I'll try to answer any questions we can. I've been on several different radio shows. Eric Brown's Cosmic Cafe and some other shows. And Janet told me something that you guys told me to watch out for earlier. I forgot what that was. some kind of Okay,
yeah,
cool. That's cool.
Show, yeah. But there's a series that contacted us about Planet X, and they're going to be contacting you. But until they contact you, let's not mention it until it actually happens.
That's cool. That's cool. No problem. That's it.
Right. Well,
my tongue is tied.
I want to. We tied his tongue at last. Okay, we did it. We went through another show, and we're still here. Yay! Let's hope we see tomorrow.
Well, we're already dead and haven't been born yet, and we're all the places at the same time.
That's right. We exist in the cosmos. Karen, much love to you. Say goodbye. Say hello to everybody.
Oh, goodbye. Thank you. It's great talking to you, Bob, and also you, Sasha.
Okay. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Sasha. Thank you, listeners. Let me get some exit music here. Let's see where I am.
Nice commercial, too. I like that.
Yeah, it was a good commercial, Karen. Thanks for making our commercial for us. That was lovely. All right, here we go. Love and blessings. Aloha.
Aloha.
Have you heard? Metro by T-Mobile now includes Amazon Prime. Yes, enjoy the best of shopping and entertainment, movies, TV shows, music, free shipping, and much more. All included for just $40 per line for 3 lines. All on the T-Mobile network. Discover the smarter way. Metro by T-Mobile. That's genius. One offer per account. Offer subject to change. $12.99 per month value. Offer valid for new Amazon Prime members. Metro customers may notice reduced speeds versus some T-Mobile customers. Video at 480p. Capable device required. See store for details and terms and conditions.